Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's the Sunday night 9 o'clock show. Manchester United have beaten Southampton, and just to start on a positive, because I'm sure we will talk a few slight negatives, 3 points ahead of Arsenal, 5 points ahead of Liverpool, 6 points ahead of Chelsea, and we'll get another 3 points easily next week against Sunderland. We're going to go with a positive vibe. But first of all, I've got Kev, Alex and the Draughty Devil on with me tonight. Only a few hours ago, we beat Southampton 3-1. Interesting game, but I'm going to go to you first, Kev. What was your thoughts on the game?
Well, obviously delighted with the 3 points. I thought good performance. If anything, probably their goal took the gloss off it a bit, because anyone that didn't watch the game would look at it and think 3-2 seemed like a bit of a close game. I didn't see it like that. I thought, yeah, they had a great opening sort of 20 minutes where they deservedly went ahead, but after that, Man United come into the game, and Martial, I thought he was quiet, but you know what? He had 2 chances and he took them both brilliantly. You've got to take your hat off to him. For my man of the match was a lot of people will go with Martial because he was probably the game changer and the game winner, but for me, the changer was David De Gea. The save from the header from Fonte was absolutely top draw. And if we had Romero in net, if David De Gea had gone to Real Madrid in January, today we would not have come away with 3 points. And that was the difference we were talking about the other week when I said the Swansea game, we got beat there. This is the difference, fine line. We've got an absolute top draw, world-class keeper back between the sticks. And for me, that is the reason why we won this game today, because he will win us points. He's absolute world class. Dave saves. End of.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Real Madrid had a fax machine that worked, we would have lost 5-3 today. But I'll come to you, Alex. What was your thought? Well, give us your man of the match. A lot of people would go with Martial, but I think I touched on it a little bit in my live reaction straight after the game. The thinking man's man of the match probably was De Gea, but I presume you'll go with Martial.
Yeah, it would have to be Martial, but De Gea, that save where it was the one from the Jose Fonte header where it was actually going behind him already, and he's like leaned back and got it. It was just absolute world class out of this world. And like Kev touched upon, if we'd have had Romero in goal today, it would have been like 5-3 or something, I think. But Martial, it just seemed like the commentators even said it at the time that every single time he got on the ball, the Southampton players just looked absolutely petrified to get anywhere near him, because not only did he score those 2 really well taken goals, but then also that time when he was clean through and could have squared it to Rooney, who I'm sure we'll touch on later. He probably wouldn't have scored it, but he got taken clean out because they're just so petrified of him. He has so much pace, so much ability, and he's a really, really good dribbler. But yeah, my fan of that. And another person who I thought actually did have a good game, but I don't think you said that he didn't have that good of a game, was Schneiderlin. I thought he was really good with his breaking up play. But Carrick didn't have that good of a game, but it doesn't matter because then Schweinsteiger comes on. So we're really lucky in the sense that with their form, like we've had it before where Schweinsteiger's had a bad game and then Carrick comes on and has been really good. So we're really lucky that we're spoiled for choice.
Yeah, I think you're right about Schneiderlin. Just before it comes to the Draughty Devil, I think Schneiderlin is one of those players where I probably didn't watch enough of him today because I was watching other things, but he goes about doing his business, and we said that at the start of the season, didn't we, that he won't be obviously good, and he may well have had a good game, but he wasn't somebody that stood out to me. But I'll put my hands up and say I wasn't really keeping an eye on that sort of things. I mean, we'll come to Rooney, but he was just frustrating the hell out of me. But we'll come to you, the Draughty Devil. As I said, Martial had a good game. Just want to say that Ormston Lord NUFC says in 2 games he's done, well, it's not even 2 games, he only played 20 minutes against Liverpool. In 1 and a bit games, he's done more than Di Maria did in a whole year and makes £36 million look an absolute snip. But what were your thoughts on the game? Are you going to shock us with man of the match and say it was David Blind?
No, I don't think I'm going to say it's David Blind. You are presuming I would. I didn't see too much of the game. I kind of nodded off in amongst different things, but to be honest, Martial, every time he got on the ball, he looked electric. He looks like a young Axel Foley out of Beverly Hills Cop, to be honest. Stick a mustache on him, and he's right up there. But Memphis, to be honest, at the moment, I can't see Memphis doing too much. I'm not that impressed with them, and I think Marshall's kind of taken over the lead as the best player at the moment. Since Shaw's now out for the season, I honestly think we got to look towards Marshall for any creativity within the team. To be honest, I didn't even know Rooney was playing until the camera zoomed in on him with about 5 minutes to go. He was that ineffective. I thought the team were okay, but for me, the man of the match, it's got to be Anthony Marshall. The kid's, he looks the business, and I think it was money well spent.
Yeah, apologies for the audio there. I think I've sorted it now. And somebody just said, where's Roy Keane gone? If you've watched the last 2 shows, you'll know he's on a week ban for the comments he made about Shaw. And if he's good and keeps his gob shut about Anti-United, he'll come back. Still a legend, but he needs that ban, I think. Martial impressed me because he's 19 years of age. He's had a lot of pressure. He's so cool when he scores. I mean, God. He won't have any problems pulling in the Manchester clubs tonight, presuming, well, it could go either way, couldn't it? I don't know. Don't want to get into that. Yeah, Fonte is a very experienced centre-back. Liverpool, well, they are a bit shit, aren't they? But he's playing against these sort of players. He's never played in the Premier League before, and he's mugging them off, to be honest. I think that is one of the things that impresses me, Kev, is anyone can score a great goal. McCabe has done it in the past. Even Rooney did it as a 16-year-old lad. But this lad, the way he's putting himself about, I don't think Louis van Gaal intended to be picking him as he has. But it's his strength and doing it on his own up front. And he did do it on his own today. We'll come back to Rooney at some point in the show, but he did do it on his own today.
He did, and it's what we've been missing, if anything. Like I said, after seeing the midweek game against PSV, a lot of people were unsure about him and what he was going to bring to the party, but I obviously knew he was quick, but I didn't know he had that strength and the holding ability. Now, when I seen that against PSV, that's when I started to think that this lad is a bit of a player. And for 19 years old, he's going to unsettle defences. Like I said, he's got the full package for me. He's got pace. The ability to hold the ball, which we've not had in a long time. He did it great against PSV, and he did it the same thing against Southampton today. And just dropping off, playing 1-2s, running in behind defenders. We've not had that for ages, and just great to see. But he's took his 2 goals brilliantly, like you say. I can't think of a player that's walked into a team, especially at that age, with that kind of price tag, 36 million rising to whatever you'll believe in the papers, and just the 3 chances he's had. I mean, the first one against Liverpool wasn't even a half chance or a chat. He made that goal himself. And then the 2 goals today, yeah, the second one was gifted to him, but so cool and so calm. It's great to have somebody up front. Hopefully he can show Rooney a thing or 2 in training. Hopefully he can get his touch back, because he's leading the line at the minute, and to think he's only 19 years old, it's very good for the future of Man United.
There's a cracking comment here in the live comments box from Eldora01. He says the reason Martial's doing so well at the moment is he doesn't understand English, so he can't follow Louis van Gaal's instructions. That's why he's so good. Lewis BNTZ says, love the way he finished his 3 chances. Never in doubt when he was running through one-on-one. I was totally confident he was going to score, and I'm amazed, and I'll be amazed if he doesn't score against Sunderland next week. But don't want to put much pressure on him. I'm sure he will have bad games, but that's fine. He's a 19-year-old lad. Let's stay on the positive then, Alex. Can we win the league?
Hard to say. I didn't think that everyone was just handing the title to City after those first 5 games. Then West Ham gave them a proper lesson. So I don't know. I'm confident that if we can stay within touching distance, then we could mount a proper challenge. Because I reckon that we will beat them again when they come to Old Trafford. And I think they come to Old Trafford. Is it in October? If it's not October, then it's November. And I think. Yeah, we can mount the challenge, but it once again boils down to injuries, I think, because it's a really, really ridiculous thing to say when you think about it. But I think now with Martial, if he was to get one big injury, we're back to having to use either Fellaini or Rooney up front, which could just put us in real big difficulties. But it seems crazy that we're relying so much on a 19-year-old, and also with Memphis as well. And people were I saw Georgie as well say that Memphis didn't have a good game, but Van Gaal said him and Martial were our best 2 players. But I don't think he was maybe our best player, but I think Memphis did have a good game. I think he's just trying too hard for the to get his first goal. But he was so close to when he hit the post, so I was gutted for him that he didn't score that one over Mata. But it's just the same problems that he's always facing. Like there was one time I was talking to my dad about it, and he got the ball, and literally 5 Southampton players were on him. Like 5. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But then at the same time, that frees up space for Martial when they're all running to Memphis every time. So even if he's not like necessarily completing the dribbles or scoring, he is still like pulling players out of position, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult for him when he's got Rooney and Fellaini playing, but Martial definitely will benefit from that space, and hopefully Memphis will a bit as well, because they do double up on him. Dwayne J says, to have young players like this with so much potential, but also performing, is amazing. And I think those two will get better, and they seem to have a little bit of an understanding. But yeah, October we've got Arsenal away, Everton away, Manchester City at home, and Crystal Palace away. So very tough month in October, but we'll beat Sunderland next week, and that should give us a cushion over everybody else behind us. Who knows about the title? I mean, I'll ask you, Drorty, about this, because it is going to be one of the topics I wanted to discuss now. I want to get onto Rooney quick, because I know people are raring to go with that one. But I'm pro Louis van Gaal, I'm pro Wayne Rooney, but today, even though we've won, there are a few things that have concerned me. I said we needed to improve on last season. I think this game today was very reminiscent of last season, where we won 2-1 playing badly. We lost 2-1 at Swansea the other week in very similar circumstances. Louis van Gaal is the king of winning games badly, but I don't think anybody could have argued if Southampton had got something out of the game today. Well, actually, no, I think that's been fair. I think Man United probably deserved to win it, but I certainly wouldn't say that we played well.
No, I think, you raised the question earlier about can Manchester United be champions this season? Champions always win when they play badly. And that is the stuff of champions. That always happens. But I think at the moment, it's more a case of other teams are just performing badly in the league. Chelsea, Mourinho's head's already gone. Arsenal, they always fall away. Liverpool are in crisis. So the only other team that are actually going to do well at the moment are City, of which they're already doing, but they've lost to West Ham, which leaves United pole position for second place. Do I think we can win the league this season? No. I think it's, we're relying on kids again, but that's the Manchester United way. I think it's exciting. I think we've brought 2 new exciting players in Memphis and Martial that are going to play really well. It's a crying shame that Shaw's out, because I think those 3 would be absolutely world class in a few years. I know I said Memphis had a bad game. For me, I just think he's trying too hard at the moment, and I think Martial's playing with absolutely no fear. So I think the 2 will help each other. I think they complement each other well, but I just see United about Christmas time probably getting a bit bogged down again, and I can't see us challenging for the title. I think it's just City's to lose. So.
Yeah, I think that in October, if we come out of October anywhere near the top, then who knows? And also that will be a real test of games. At the moment, I would say no, because I just haven't seen us play well enough. But Gavlad says, swear to God, Mark, if you say I think Rooney will come good again. Don't know what he's going to do, but we will be talking Rooney in a minute. But Kev, I just wanted to dwell on this 3 points, because it's a nice thing to dwell. I can't wait for Match Today later, which we don't always get as a Man United fan. We've got 2 in a row. I said at half-time that I didn't agree with the Valencia for Darmian substitution, and I found the McNair one absolute suicide that nearly cost us the game. I mean, maybe that's just my interpretation of it, but what were your thoughts on the substitution? Because the Schweinsteiger one probably won us the game.
Yeah, for me, if there's any player you want to see coming on at that stage of the game, for me, I want to see Bastian Schweinsteiger starting most games, but to see him come on in a game like that, when it's not 50-50, but the game's not won, but to see him come on in any kind of position, whatever you are, I mean, Schweinsteiger's a great player to bring on. He's obviously a world-class player. Now, the change, obviously, Valencia coming on, I can kind of see that. He's injected a bit of pace down the right-hand side. And, yeah, I can agree with the substitutions. I can probably see why some people wouldn't. But at the end of the day, we've got the job done. And for me, like you say, that's all what it's about today. I think we spoke about it in the preview show when I said it was all about 3 points today. And if we could get a good performance as well, which I think we've got, and I think Mata's goal there, how many passes were in it? I think, was it 42, 43 passes? I think that's the kind of thing that Louis van Gaal, that's his sort of football perfection there, personified. That's the kind of thing that he's looking for. And I think the smile on his face after it when he was being interviewed, the fact that so many passes, I think everybody in the team was involved in the goal. That's the kind of thing we're working towards. And I've always said that I'm just hoping that it all sort of clicks together. And I think that's a good sign that today, definitely a good sign. But just touching on the McNair thing before I ramble on, definitely at fault for the Pella goal. If you watch him, I know we can nitpick at things like this, but he's positioning. Pella peeled off him easily, and I think Gary Neville said it in the commentary. It was almost like a training ground goal. That there was nobody pressurising or even on Pella. It was just an easy finish, and De Gea had no chance.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of things I'll pick up on there before I come to Alex. I mean, the Mata goal, I can't wait to watch on Match of the Day. I'll hold my hands up. It really shocked me because Man United normally go 2-1 up and sit back, and for us to score that goal, I'm looking forward to watching that again because I know there was a good build-up to it. The McNair thing, I was appalled when it happened. I'm going to let Alex talk about this because he's got a theory on why it happened and why Rojo had to come off, which didn't make sense, why Rooney was never brought off. But yeah, McNair on that third goal, Blind got a lot of stick today. I didn't think Blind was great, but he was moving around a lot, and he can have a bad game. I still think Blind's a really good player, but McNair was abysmal on that cross. He's just stood on. He doesn't even make an attempt. He's a centre back. He's got to be tougher than that, and it could have cost us the win today. That substitution, I thought it was a bad substitution. As I said last year, McNair will be a top class centre back. I think he's only 19 or 20. Centre backs don't come into their own until like 22, 23. He will be a good centre-back. He isn't one at the moment. He probably needs a loan like Johnny Evans and people like that used to have when they were that age. Chucking him into the last 15 minutes of a game like that was suicidal, I thought. And if it had gone wrong, I mean, somebody said he had a good run. So what? He let Pella score. You've got to be blunt. I like McNair, but he really did nearly mess things up. But Alex, you've got a theory on why that had to happen, and I think it's to do with old Louis van Gaal's fitness philosophy.
Yeah, I just think it's just his normal thing of saying because Rojo hasn't played all season, that was his first Premier League start of the season, and even though he did play with Argentina, that he wants them to get match rhythm and all this. But I thought Rojo had a good game, and I didn't really think that he was really like slowing down, that he needed to be taken off. But I guess that was Van Gaal's plan before a ball was even kicked, that he was always going to give Rojo whatever it was, like 65 minutes or something. But yeah, McNair, he was at fault for the goal, but like you say, you can't chuck a 19-year-old in with into such a big game, because especially once they got the second goal, they were just absolutely all over us, just attack, and it could have just ended really, really badly, and we're lucky it didn't. But it's not his fault, obviously. But with the Darmian one, I have no clue. I thought originally that he was injured, but then I read that it wasn't due to injury and that it was tactical. But Valencia, actually, to be fair to him, did all right when he came on. But as you said in your show earlier, he's not going to give us anything going forward because he just runs past and then he stops and cuts back onto his right foot every single time. But yeah.
Matthew Pickett said that the Rojo and Darmian subs are the worst he's ever seen. Give him time, Louis van Gaal does come out with these pearlers. Peter McCullough says United title chances this season. Nope, yep. And there was a couple of Michael shouts, McNair will be class. I do believe he will do, but that wasn't his fault he was thrown into that today. Jay Mahaduku says agree, McNair sub was strange. Drawty's having a few little cracks about Wayne Rooney, so I think we'll come to Rooney now. Dun dun dun, it's the big one. What I would say about the Darmian thing, I'm a massive fan of Darmian. I think he's a great player. He's probably got a bit tired and he's acclimatising to a difficult league. But if you take him off at half time for playing badly, what has Rooney got in the closet about Louis van Gaal? Because I was saying after half an hour, if we want anything from this game, take him off and get Herrera on. And sorry, Gav lad, I have backed Rooney and I still think he can come good, but I'm not going to lie and say that he was dreadful today, and he probably should have come off after the first 20 minutes, and he didn't get any better.
how long are you going to keep saying until you realize that Rooney won't come good? I mean, seriously, it's like
people liking the videos.
It's every single week. He'll come good. He'll come good. Oh, it's the last game of the season. No, I mean, to be honest, he kind of looked when your dad turns up drunk for a game playing with the kids. Just looked lost out there. Just slow. His passing was all over the place. It just looked like sloppy seconds. I mean, it was dreadful. I think because LVG made him his captain, he feels like he can't drop him. And I don't know if it's because he's seen as like United's star player, their biggest player, England captain, 50 goals, Wayne Rooney record holder. It feels like you can't drop him because he's almost like the symbol of the club at the moment. But I think you're actually doing him a disservice by not taking him off. Because at the moment, I don't think he's effective at all. I think there's better players in the team who can actually do a better job than Rooney at the moment. And whilst he's playing like this, he's not going to come good. So, if we're going to keep on this train of thought of, oh, we're not going to take him off, he'll eventually come good, I think he needs a spell on the sidelines to actually get the best out of him.
No, I'd agree with that. And I'm going to come to Kev because we have backed him, and obviously I'm getting a lot of stick for backing him, so Kev can have some for backing him. But I'll give you a bit of a local stuff, Kev, being a Manc lad, and I'm sure you watch Coronation Street. Somebody on my live comment box said earlier that Wanyama put Rooney in his pocket. And my response to that was, you don't need to be Wanyama to put him in his pocket. I think Rita Fairclough could have had him in his pocket today.
I could have put him in my pocket today. I mean, Rooney today for me was just totally anonymous. But for me, I've said it before, it was almost like we might as well played with 10 men today. That's how ineffective Rooney is. And people will come back and say, oh, it's his first game back. Fair enough. I know the one thing with Rooney is, if he's out injured, it does take him a few games to get back into his stride and back into full flow. But for me, Louis van Gaal has to look at that. We know this as supporters. Louis van Gaal should know this. And that's where Draughty makes a good point, because you've now got a player who just walks straight back into the Manchester United team, purely because I think he is the captain and he's Louis van Gaal's captain. He's a captain of the club. It shouldn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at any other club. It should work purely on the fact of how well you are performing. And for me, even before Rooney got injured, he wasn't performing. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise, as awful as it says. I always said when he got injured, oh, well, it gives us a chance to try something different up front. And we've done that, and we've done all right over obviously the Liverpool game, we come out of that well. But for me, Rooney, he needs some kind of discipline. Sir Alex Ferguson wouldn't have done it. He wouldn't have been like Louis van Gaal, and he's the first name on my team sheet because he's my captain. If you weren't playing well, Sir Alex Ferguson was the king of disciplining people. He knew how to get the best out of players. Again, the way that Draughty drew on that point before, Rooney should be on the bench and he should be making an example of him. That should be setting an example to the younger kids at United as well, the players in the youth team and that. I mean, what example is that setting, that Rooney, just because he's got that black armband round his arm, he just walks into the team and he gets selected even though he's not performing? Doesn't make any sense really. And it's going to have to come to a head sooner or later, because for me, he is not performing. And I know that there'll be loads of people on the Rooney bandwagon and he's got to play in that. But for me, I think Alex said the other week, if this was a player that we'd signed last season for, I don't know, say 5 million, and he was, I don't know, let's just say, for instance, a Brazilian sort of unknown £5 million player, and he was in the team, he wouldn't be in the team. In fact, he would have been sold by now. And that's where we're at the minute. But because he's Wayne Rooney, he's got to be in the team. It baffles me, mate. Baffles me.
No, I think you've said a lot of what I'd say there, to be honest. Kev, funny, Sir Alex Ferguson, you mentioned in that, just reminded me we need to speak about that, which we will do in a few minutes' time. But you're right. I mean, we are not an anti-Louis van Gaal channel or Wayne Rooney, apart from Alex. But is he smiling? But there comes a time when a spade's a spade, and he was bad today, and Louis van Gaal made some odd substitutions today. And I'm not afraid to say I don't agree with that. I thought they were bad decisions. I thought McNair was a bad decision. I thought Rooney should have been subbed off after 20 minutes. Doesn't mean I don't think he can come good. I know that winds everybody up, but the reason I do try and say that is because you've got to be balanced, and there are a lot of people out there who will be absolutely crying into their cornflakes about us saying Rooney should have been taken off. They are blinded by Wayne Rooney. They pay their subscriptions. They've got his name on the back of the shirt. They're in the fan club. They've got pictures of Colleen on the wall. They love it, and they call their kids Kai. But he was bad today. He was bad today, and I'm happy to admit that. And Kev is right. But Louis van Gaal did say last year he's the first name on the team sheet. And I tell you what, I said this earlier as well. Man United fans, in the main, we've all got idiot fans, in the main, are quite well educated when it comes to football. And we won't buy rubbish like, oh, Wayne Rooney. I don't know whether Louis van Gaal thinks we are thick, because is he just saying it because we're all going to go, oh yeah, pick our favourite player, Wayne Rooney, every game? Because that's not what a lot of Man United fans want. And he should have took him off today. And it will come to a head, because I don't think the fans will wash it if he carries on like he is, and there's no sign of it ending at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But what was I going to say? Well, there's a few comments here. Inspire Me 100 says the kit man had a bigger influence over the game than Rooney, which is true. And Chris Matique says simple solution: drop him from the captaincy, then he doesn't have to start. Well, he isn't the captain for me anymore. I think Schweinsteiger came on. We missed the leader. Schweinsteiger came on. We took hold of the game. We got the second goal, because if we hadn't got 3 goals today, we wouldn't have won that game. And I've been saying for a while that Schweinsteiger is the leader on the pitch. But a little bit of positivity, Alex. We've got Ipswich on Wednesday in the League Cup. What changes are you expecting? I'm praying that Pereira will finally get a start, and maybe Wilson as well.
Yeah, I think obviously we will make changes, but I don't think they're going to be as wholesale as some people think, because we all know what happened last year in this exact tournament against MK Dons. But this is at home. But Ipswich are a better team than MK Dons, so I think it'll be a mix of youth and experience. But I wouldn't expect it to be. I think Pereira should play, but I don't know whether it'll be like Pereira, Wilson, like everyone. I think maybe McNair might come in for maybe, I don't know if it'll be Smalling, as we shouldn't drop Smalling, so maybe for Blind. And then I hope Martial plays again, because he's a youth player still anyway, and I hope Memphis plays again. So maybe you could even just play Wilson right wing with Pereira behind him and Memphis behind Martial, or even go 4-4-2 with Wilson and Martial up front, because they're both quick, so it could cause them all sorts of nightmares. But I hope at least one of Carrick, Schneiderlin or Schweinsteiger are playing in that midfield, because I don't want to just use like all youth players in the midfield like we basically did last season, because it could end up being suicide. I know it's not that big of a cup, but I want us to at least win silverware this year, and I think we have a really good chance in this one, because I don't fear anyone in it, but the problem is that we could underestimate them.
Yeah, and Jav Linehan, we've got to remember, great weekend, Man City drops and Arsenal happy days, and Southampton are a decent team, so it's a good result. Ollie Young says, think Ipswich are going to pull another MK Dons. Must just say about Ipswich, they're not in League One, they're in the Championship, and last time I checked, I don't check it very often, they were doing quite well, so they're no mugs, and Alex may be right. But come to you, Draw Team. I mean, I don't, for me, this League Cup it shouldn't be playing first-team players in it at all, where they've got the Champions League and the league to concern themselves about. And we want to see the likes of Pereira, Wilson, McNair playing.
For me, the League Cup's kind of like the postcode lottery. It's nice, but it's not quite the lotto. You know, it's not going to get you the money. I think it's a tournament where you should be blooding your younger players, but at the same time, you can only blood them if you get so far. There's no point playing them if you're going to get knocked out, because then you've got no other room to get any experience for your other players. You're not going to do it so much in the FA Cup. You're definitely not going to do it in the Champions League, and the only time you're going to do it in the Premier League is when you're against a lower placed team. So for me, the League Cup is a perfect ground for testing out your reserves and your under 21. So Pereira would be a fantastic option to be able to use him in it. But I don't think LVG is going to do that this time. After losing 4-0 to MK Dons last season, do we want to take the risk again? I don't know. I mean, if we're going to take it seriously, I'm not too sure we want to do that, to be honest. I'm very much... Do I care if we win the League Cup? No. I don't think it shows how well you've progressed at all. You know, Swansea have won it. Loads of other teams have won it. Middlesbrough have even won it. It means nothing to me. I think if you won the League Cup, it doesn't actually prove anything at all. It just shows that other teams wanted it less than you did. So for me, just use it as a stepping stone to bring on your younger players, and I think that's the best thing you can do. But make sure you get as far as you can with those players because they need the experience.
It means nothing to me. Vienna, Ultravox, classic. It's at Old Trafford, says Tyler Mitchell. We're not away. We'll win easy. Michael Shout says 4 first-team players, 7 young ones. I'm with Draughty on this, Kev. To be honest, Half-Time Devils is saying rest Martial, rest Carrick, rest Smalling and Blind, rest Mata, rest Schweinsteiger. He is spot on there, and that was what I was going to feed into you with, Kev. One, I don't care about the League Cup. That is not a cup that constitutes a good season. If Lou Van Gaal thinks the League Cup is the cup that's going to constitute a good season, that doesn't wash for me. And 2, I don't want to pick up any injuries.
Well, they'd be the two main things. I think everyone's touched on the right thing. You need a certain kind of balance, and that would be not obviously playing 11 second sort of string players or youngsters in the team. You need the right kind of balance. So you're looking at maybe 4, maybe 5 first teamers, but against Ipswich there, I think you're definitely looking at giving some players some form of a rest ahead of the game next week. But yeah, it's all about balancing it out now. The games are going to come thick and fast. We're in the Champions League. It won't be long before the FA Cup starting. But yeah, as far as the Capital One Cup goes, I don't think it's a trophy that we're all longing to win. It's not one that you get too excited about. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it is a trophy, and if United can win it, it's silverware. And if you can get it in the cabinet, it's all right. But like I say, it's not the most prolific of trophies. That's something that you'd look at, but just a good opportunity, I would say, to get players like Wilson, who seems to be a bit of a forgotten man. I don't know why he wasn't on the bench today or what's going on there, but these are the players as United fans and this type of game where we get to see these types of players. So hopefully that they can take their opportunity really if they get the chance.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And Rahul Nar makes a fantastic point. Play our B team along with Rooney and Fellaini. Well, last word, get rid of that. But Rooney should play. He was diabolical today. He's not fit, like Kev says. We all know he needs a few games to get back sharp. Play him on Wednesday night. I nearly said something then, and I think we would have been got a load of dislikes if we did, so I won't. But I think it's not a trophy we want to win. Let Pereira loose. I think he should have been playing. Me and Alex watched a lot of we watched him live, didn't we, in America? He was the best player, and I keep saying it. Why he's not on the bench? As Kev said, the bench at the moment for me is made up of reputation. He's got to find a place for Fellaini. He's got to find a place for Young, for Valencia, for McNair, and they're all gone. Get one of McNair. Get Wilson or Pereira on that bench and get Fellaini off it. They need to be on the bench. They're like Martial. Look what happens when you do that. But Sir Alex Ferguson came out this week, made comments about how he would still be Manchester United manager if his wife's sister hadn't died. And a lot of people jumped onto that, especially the Lou Van Gaal out brigade. Alex, what were your thoughts on that? I mean, did it make you wish he was still in charge, or is it time to move on?
With what, the PSV game?
No, Sir Alex Ferguson.
Oh, Ferguson. I don't know. I think.
Tell you listening to me.
Yeah, sorry, I was typing in the comment section. I saw as well those comments about that he could stay, but I think long term it wouldn't have been good. Short term we might have won like another league or maybe an FA Cup or something if Fergie stayed, but long term I think I don't know whether it was to do with the Glazers, but obviously with the Glazers, us finishing 7th forced them to finally spend. I think if we kept Fergie, that he wouldn't have continued to spend. We would have just been left with like the likes of Johnny Evans, Cleverley and stuff still playing for us. I think it's really crazy when you think about it how much Lou Van Gaal has changed this squad, because we basically bought an entire new starting 11, an entire new bench. Just from the end of, or if you include Moyes here as well, since Fergie left, we only have like De Gea, Rooney, Carrick, Jones and Smalling left. And it's like there's this picture that always goes around like Twitter of like our team, like the last team, the squad photo of under Fergie in what was it, 2012, and it's like basically the entire team is gone. We're just purchased an entire new team. So if we're obviously not that amazing like fluidly at the moment, but the teams take a long time to gel, and I think now he's sorted out the core of the team, that any new additions will just be to improve in certain areas, whereas before we were just doing a complete clear out.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said that the people who leave Van Gaal out, I respect them in a way, even though I don't agree with them, because I think the obvious choice is to say he'll do well because you look at his history. So when these people say, "Oh, I'm Louis Van Gaal in, look at me, I was right," well, you're obviously going to be right. That's the favourite's choice. The thing about Louis Van Gaal for me, and what I will judge him on this season, is whether he can get us playing good football. On a lot of other levels, he's done fantastic clearing out the dead wood, bringing them through the youth. I just don't know whether he can get us playing the United way, which is the way I interpret it, and that's how I'll test him. There's been glimpses, so I would give him that. But so certainly when it comes to Sir Alex Ferguson, fantastic manager, probably the best there's ever been. Would I like him still to be manager? Well, we would have won at least 2 more league titles in the 2 years he's been gone, but we'd still have Cleverley, Evans. I've probably forgotten some other crap as well that would still be at the club, and we would never have bought Schweinsteiger or Schneider because he didn't buy centre midfielders. We wouldn't have bought Di Maria, probably a positive. We probably wouldn't have bought Marshall because he didn't like to spend that sort of money. So there's pros and cons, but actually I'd be with Alex Draughty that it's time to move on, and this is Louis Van Gaal, no matter what people say, is building us in the right way.
I'm not a huge Louis Van Gaal fan, only because of the way he portrays himself and the way he handles his players. However, I will concede, when you look at the team at the moment, we've cut down to the bare bones of the squad, and we've got really young players coming through, which is the United way, and has always been the United way. And he's brought in players with experience like Schweinsteiger, who is invaluable to the team. So when you look at it, we haven't actually got an aging squad anymore. It's a young squad with potential, which, in 2 or 3 years' time is going to be tearing teams a new one. All you got to do is add a few players in there. We've already got rid of most of the old crap, so we've got a very, very small squad, a very close-knit squad, and I think it can only get better from here, because I actually don't think you need to ship anyone else out now. Maybe Rooney in a couple of years' time, because he will lose a step pretty quickly. I think Rooney is just of that build where he won't stay at the top of his game like, say, a Ronaldo. And I think that's when you need to bring in Wilson, because I think he'll be a great backup for Rooney and Marshall. And I genuinely think what Louis Van Gaal's done is given the club longevity for the future. I don't think we're in a position anymore where we're going, we need another player and keep chopping and changing. No, I think we've got the basis now. We just need to add, and I think that's where we are.
Yeah, I'd agree. And what was I going to say? I mean, we'll come to get your opinion on this, Kev, now. We should all know this anyway, but the last couple of years under Sir Alex Ferguson, again, wasn't good football, was it?
No, it wasn't great, and Sir Alex Ferguson got a similar result today against Southampton when Robin van Persie scored in Sir Alex Ferguson's last season. We won that 3-2 after falling behind, and that's what I was saying earlier about if you've seen the result today and you've seen it without watching the game, you'd think, it's a close one that United nicked it 3-2. It doesn't tell the story of the game. Whereas back in the last season when we won the title with Sir Alex Ferguson in charge, we were winning games. We were leaking goals at the back, and it was all about this attack, this gung-ho kind of style of play, winning games 4-3, 3-2. It didn't matter how many we conceded because we were always going to outscore teams. And I've always said it, Louis Van Gaal is not that type of player. I think the game that changed it for Van Gaal as United manager was last season against Leicester. I think he did try that approach, and he backed down to fan pressure at the start of the season. He tried the 3 at the back thing. It was quite apparent that, in pre-season it worked against LA Galaxy and all them sort of dog shit teams. And then he tried bringing it into a Premier League season, and it became apparent very quickly that you could not get away with it, and it just did not work. And then against Leicester, personally, I think he bowed down to support the pressure, and because the fans were singing attack, attack, he obviously had Di Maria, Falcao at his disposal. I think he went for it in that game, and it backfired on him. And I don't think he ever sort of recovered from that match. The fact that we were 3-1 up at one stage and we lost it 5-3. And I think that's where it comes from now, that cautious approach. But Louis van Gaal's always been like that. And I still maintain he won't be here longer than 3 years. But the one good thing about him is he does build the foundations of good teams. And that's all I can wish for in the future now, is that he starts to bring through some youngsters. You look at the teams that he's set up for the future, the European powerhouses like Bayern Munich, Barcelona. He's brought through players in the past, Kluivert, Xavi, Iniesta, Schweinsteiger. He gave them all their first team opportunities, and I'm just hoping now that he looks into our sort of youth development. You can see the similar signs, and he starts blooding the youth and bringing them into the team and mixing them in to his way of thinking and his team. But yeah, I don't think he'll be here longer than 3 years. But like I just reiterate the point, I think he is laying the foundations, and I think he does a lot of work behind the scenes, training, the training ground. I think he's ripped up everything, and I think there's a lot of things we don't see as supporters that we don't appreciate. So, yeah, we'll just have to see, won't we?
No, and I think he's spot on again. That's one of the reasons I'm pro Louis van Gaal, because the clear out he did this summer, I think some people underestimate it. It was unprecedented, the amount of crap he got out of the club. As you said about the training, things like that, he is probably setting something in place that in 3, 4, 5 years' time will be fantastic. Matthew Pickett here, I've been holding on to this comment for a while. He said the team we could play against Ipswich: Johnston in goal, Varela, McNair, Smalling, Blind, Fosu Mensah, Pereira, Carrick, Young, Wilson, Lingard. I mean, that's a great side, and it's hardly even touching on the first team. And that just shows you the strength of what we've got coming through. Fosu Mensah is probably 2 years off, but he's going to be an absolute beast of a player, very sort of like Vieira-esque. Pereira is fantastic. Lingard, forget about him, he's a decent player. And obviously James Wilson. But it's funny, I just wanted to pick up on what Kev was on about there, the Leicester game. I think that's so unfortunate. It's a game that I remember vividly. And funnily enough, coincidentally today, Clattenburg was the referee then, manager, yeah, because he managed that game out of our hands. We were totally robbed in that game. We think we're 3-1 up. I remember Falcao or somebody hitting the post, absolutely all over them. Then there was that dodgy penalty, and we just fell apart. And it was one of those days. Sir Alex Ferguson had them sometimes. But I agree with Kev. Louis van Gaal took that to heart and never ever went back to that. It's a shame, because we should have won that game. We weren't beaten by a better team. But there you go. Right. I think that's covered about everything. I'll come to everybody in a moment, but I just want to say that tomorrow night at 9 o'clock we will have a video going up on the United Stand channel. I normally do a Q&A on the new Mark Goldbridge channel. I'm not doing it tomorrow night because of this. It's very big. It's not really big for us in the sense that nothing will change for us, but it's massive for you. It's the United Stand. It is your channel. We always say that. Hopefully you feel that it is. Hopefully you can have a look at the second paragraph in the video description and start trying to get us some votes for this Football Blogging Awards that Alex wants to win. But this thing we're announcing tomorrow night is very much about you. It's going to benefit you, and it's going to benefit you getting involved in the United Stand. And that's all I'm going to say for the moment. It's a fantastic opportunity. As you know, we've grown massively over the summer, and we've got a massive audience out there. And if you want to be part of that, getting involved, I'm saying too much, but do keep an eye on the video tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. We'll leave it at that. But thanks very much for coming on, Drawty.
Thanks for having me on, Mark. And to reiterate what you said, make sure everyone watches the video tomorrow, because obviously big things are happening. So I'm just hoping everyone gets involved for that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you all now, but that's not how you do things. You've got to watch tomorrow night. And Alex, obviously this is your last show because that's what it's feeding up to. But no, I'm only messing with you. Thanks for coming on, mate. You'll be back on Thursday.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, see you guys Thursday.
And cheers, Kev. Thanks for coming on. Good points tonight. Kev. Is Kev there?
Wait, I have to do this once. Your mic's muted, Kev.
Kev? Thanks for coming on, Kev.
I was trying to click off then. I was just keeping you all in suspense. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure, never a chore.
I was trying not to keep watching you tonight because I'm sure you're watching Downton Abbey in the background, and I've got that on record. So no, it's not.
I was trying to watch This Is England.
Ah, right, okay.
I'll catch it later on anyway after Match of the Day.
Great stuff. Okay, yeah, we will be off to watch Match of the Day now. Thanks to everybody for watching. Over 200 steady viewers. We've got our regulars on the United Stand, and it is real fan opinion. And I think we get some really good stuff off the live comment box that I'm always nicking. But really good topics tonight. Thanks to everybody for watching. This is the flagship show. This is what the United Stand has always been about. 9 o'clock Sunday night. So watch out tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Do that, and obviously we will have a live reaction show after the Ipswich match on Wednesday night. It is, but. Keep sharing the videos, keep telling everybody about the United Stand, like the video, subscribe if you're new, and I tell you what, big things are happening, and I think, everybody get involved from what's coming tomorrow night. But thanks everybody for watching. Great weekend for Manchester United, and I tell you what, if we don't beat Sunderland next week, there's going to be major problems. So that's 9 points from 3 games. You can never shirk at that. The United Stand, your channel.